Good afternoon. I was just thinking as we were preparing for this game how the game continues to evolve, and as a first days in college, you know, the difference in styles would be, well, they play zone and they play man, and that was about it. Everybody man the same way pretty much, or similar. Everybody played zone the same way, and now it's 40 years later, and we're playing a team that mixes things up again, but plays a whole different style of man defense. And it's really a challenge to be able to, even we did get a day of rest to change from what Northwestern was doing, what Purdue was doing, and now what South Carolina is doing. So we'll try to do our very, very best, but they really took it to us 2 years ago, and that we don't have many guys on that team that were on that team left, but they really took it to us, but they turned out to be a Final Four team, so they were pretty good. But we're going to have to be ready to meet a really strong, you know, challenged a team that will really challenge us, for all 40 minutes, and we got to get it done. Tom, I'll take the questions. Go ahead. I got this, Tom. Your position just got eliminated.
Okay, John. After facing 3 tough games in 1 week. North Carolina, Purdue, and Northwestern. What did the team learn from that? What are you going to take from that?
Well, I think every game. I don't care whether they're a tough game, what the brand is that's coming in. They're all tough games, and so I think they learned that you got to just separate each game, be ready to come and play each game, which I think we did really well, and that then move on. And you get done with those games, the journey continues. There's another game to get ready for, and that's the biggest thing. I think our young guys, and we have a lot of young guys. I'm talking about the sophomores who are playing major minutes now. That they're learning. It's a journey, and I just got to hang in there and keep working to get better.
Andrew,
Coach, being able to scout them in person in Connecticut, obviously they can do the same to you. But what are the benefits of that for your staff?
You know, you'd have to ask my assistants that one, Andrew, because I don't scout anybody in person, and I just rely on the film. But I think of seeing them firsthand 2 years ago gives me a whole idea how hard they play, you know, how athletic they are. I can remember running some beautiful plays against them, and we got them with a play, but they blocked it right at the rim, you know, and they were going the other way. So, but I think seeing them in person, I think it does help to realize how athletic some of the Southeast Conference teams are, and how we've got to execute even better.
And then going into the stretch with a full week between multiple games, I guess, can you give a sense of what sort of practice will look like, how it'll change?
I'd like to get to that before I even think about it, but I do think that we can reshape a lot of things. We just got to get this noon game done tomorrow, and got to really play well if we're going to get a win.
Over here with Chris.
A couple things, Coach. What were some of the teaching points from the Northwestern game that you shared with those guys?
Oh, we showed them the 5 or 6 really bad fouls that we had that were good calls by the officials, and that we got to eliminate from our game. We don't mind fouling. We don't want to be careless fouls, things that we can avoid. I think that was a big thing. I think we talked a lot about spacing, and about people just seeing others when engaging with E2, C4. Engage 2 people so you can see our 4 off, and engage 2 defenders, see the other 4. And that was important. We did it really well a couple times, and then sometimes we just put our head down and went, and it didn't work very well.
And then obviously you want more depth if you can. What does Brandon have to do to get to that level where you can trust him?
The Brandon Johns question is coming up often. He's got to continue to do well in practice. And I talked about that this morning, that he's just got to show us in practice that he's got a lot of energy. He can make differences in games. He can pick up things quickly. And usually it's defense, actually. Everybody makes too much of some intricate system we run here. I dummy it down for those guys. It's about defense. Are you gonna sit there and watch the ball screen and not call, ball screen coverage, and not call the coverage, and then not cover the coverage? Right? It's pretty simple, but for many freshmen it takes some time. He's starting to do that right now, so he might get in there tomorrow.
Orion?
John, how did Xavier respond sitting on the bench?
Oh, he was fine. He wanted to go back in with 15, but he knew exactly the reason. We were playing 4-on-5, and we were really in a drought, and we needed to open the court a little bit. I don't know if Jordan gets to the rim both times, if he's out there, that Eli Brooks is spacing people, and so he knows it. I mean, that's, and if he reacted poorly, I'd be extremely disappointed, but I wouldn't care, right? Because we got to do what's best for Michigan.
Now teams continue to play off him. Is it just a matter of him making those shots? Is that what he has to do?
I think every team's going to be different now, because when you do play off them, you allow him to get downhill, and you allow him to run anything that we want to run. And so there's more to that than when you think just play out, okay, everything's solved. No, we'll find out. It's a riddle, and it really didn't surprise me, but it's a riddle that we'll finish. But he'll also, situation is right. We expect him to make those shots too.
Over here with John.
How well would you say Isaiah has adjusted to what you want out of him so far this year?
I think it was really good at the beginning, and then I thought he took a step backwards for a couple of days where he really it sunk in on him that, hey, listen, I may be coming off the bench the whole year, and I got to play 3 different positions, and you got to embrace that, and that's why he did. He's the only one we have that can do that, and that's why we chose him to be the guy to come off the bench. And so now, yesterday, at a really good practice, I think he understands the Duncan Robinson role is a really important role for us, and he can embrace that and really help us.
Josh?
Last week you mentioned that you wanted to see this team face some sort of adversity on the road. Obviously you saw that against Northwestern. What's the next box that you'd like to see checked on the list for you?
Well, I think it would probably come up tomorrow. I think that we haven't had to make foul shots on the road yet to win. Even that game, we didn't have to make foul shots. They weren't, when you're up by 8 with 3 minutes to go and you got to put them away at the foul line. We've been up by 18 with 3 minutes to go. So that's a whole different thing, and we're going to have to be very good at that. And I feel we're going to be much better at it than we were last year. And people do choose to go that way, but that's the next thing. And I don't care if you're a great foul shooting team, and we certainly aren't great. I think we're better than we've been, but you got to do that on the road. You got to do that at home.
Over here with Jacob.
John, as far as Xavier and shooting goes, have you been experimenting with any kind of new sets or new lineups, players you might want on the court side along with him in those situations?
No, I'm trying to get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Experiment with not shooting, with who's in the lineup with him.
Yeah, essentially.
No, not really. Because we're only playing 7 or 8 guys, so that we're sort of out of options for right now. But he's doing really well. He's doing a lot of great things. He was 5 for 5 from 2. So he's doing a lot of good things. But I don't know if I understand the dynamic of putting different people. We've only been playing 8, and he's played with all 8.
Isaiah?
John, last week Iggy said that he really kind of relished that opportunity to be in the spotlight and to be able to play. And
You're talking about Ignis?
Yes. And how common or rare is that to have a young player that kind of thrives in that?
I think many of them want to be right where he is, and then when they get there, they realize there's a lot of stuff. I got to go to class all day. I got study halls. I got weight training. I got therapy. I got all these things, and then, right, we're playing a different team with a complete different style. I got to remember all these defensive things, number one, let alone offense, and who's playing me. So there's a lot of them that once they get into it, they get hit in the face, and it's really hard for them. And he's just been, as good as we've ever had at going through this first month of the season. I still remember Nick Stauska saying to me at the Thanksgiving tournament that we won, the preseason NIT, he said, man, college basketball is a grind. And it was Thanksgiving tournament. It was our 5th game. So you can imagine this is what they're sort of going through, that this is our 46th or 47th practice today, right? So, and I remind them of that when they don't do something right. All right, are you going to tell me you're going to do this in practice 48? I always know how many practices we've had to tell them that. But so it's a different thing, and that's why we got to continue to to just hang in there with him and continue to say, embrace this process, embrace this process. But he's been excellent at it.
Back over here with Chris.
I don't remember you going into detail on Jalen Wilson and Cole Badgemon. Can you talk a little bit about those guys?
Yeah, I mean, they're similar in their size and skill set, very different in bodies. The Jalen's more of an Isaiah Livers type of body. He's got some strength about him already, but they both are like high skill sets, can really shoot. Cole, with the good news is Cole weighed about 167, I think, when he came here at 6'7", 6'6", and he's already put on 16 pounds, I believe. So, but he's more of a combo guard, and Jalen's sort of a small forward guard, and we could play small with a lot of people too. So they're good kids, they're good students, they're good players. I can't wait to coach them. I think both really high IQ players too. So who knows what our attrition will be like next year, but they both got a chance to play right away. That'll be the hope.
I think you saw Cole at your camp.
Yeah. This was completely. I got a call from his AAU coach, who's also a junior college coach in the area. So there's a kid that loves Michigan. He really loved it. Could you take a look at him? And it took me like 2 or 3 weeks to even get back to him, and then I didn't get back to him again. I mean, there's so much going on, and then finally they sent me. I think I called the dad, and he said, we'd like to come to your practice camp. And so they flew across the country, came to the camp, and he raised some eyebrows. So when he came all the way to the cross, I sent DeAndre out to see him. I said, I promise you, he plays well at the camp, we'll come out and see him. And we did, and we kept liking him more and more every day. And pretty soon I started looking around, and I wasn't the only high major coach in the stands. They could see he's got a really high ceiling. But Jalen's going to be very, very good. Jalen's played against the best everywhere, where Cole is just doing that now. And when I decided on Cole's, when he was playing against the Howard Pulley team, where it's the first time he scored 18 of his first 20 points for his team against an EYBL team. So, but Jalen does that every day. So one was undiscovered, one was well known. Both of them are going to be terrific college players.
James?
John, a few games ago you talked about the need to develop the bench. I mean, we only had 4 games the rest of this month.
Yeah.
How key is this stretch to maybe bring those guys?
I think what's most key, James, is the 4 or 5 days of practice we have in between games, that we can really push them against the starters or play with the starters, and get not knowing, hey, we got to get ready for this next game. So the Monday, Tuesday of each week for the next few weeks, we will really be spending all Michigan time. And that's where, all right, we go out and tell David, you're the starting point guard, right? The X is in foul trouble, you're the starting point guard, or you're going into the game early and you got to run this team. And just see where he is compared to where he was a month ago when we had to say, hey, we got difficult games in here. We can't be experimenting in November. We got to know who we are. And so that'll be key.
And then can you maybe the strides that David has made, and I guess how he's grasping the offense?
He's doing okay with it. There's a lot of stuff because every day we'll play this team and we'll have to change a lot of things. And now he's just learned what we were doing against Northwestern. So there's a lot of offense and defense. I think he's got the talent level to do both really well. But as a quarterback, it is very different than what Brandon has to do. He has to message strong. He has on defense. He's got to have a strong message. He's got a lot he has to do that the other guys don't have to do. That's why you see most quarterbacks redshirt as well.
Chris is going to close out his press conference.
Yeah, have you noticed a bump on the recruiting trail? I mean, a lot of recruits talking about your start and the way you defend and stuff like that. Do you notice that when you talk to these guys too?
Yeah, I think that I've always talked about that. I think our second trip to the Final Four was really helpful as far as, that it wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't just something that just happened. And so that's helped a lot. But we all know that is great. They still got to say yes, and we still believe that we're gonna take the kids that really fit Michigan, and they may not be as highly rated, but 4 years later they may be more highly rated. And so we're still going to try and find our guys. But I think there's a knowledge out there right now that if you like Michigan, right? You're not gonna, they're probably not gonna be waiting to the spring of your senior year and still go there unless something falls through. Where a lot of the high guys, I want our team, and I don't want to come up empty at that, and then we'd be in a tough situation.
And then the redshirt rules for football, you've seen
Yeah,
that before.
yeah.
Do all your freshmen
That would be
played,
the
so
best.
they can't?
No, that would be the best rule for us, right? Because you can actually play and come back
Right.
without medical. We should, if it hasn't already been done, I had already proposed that at a couple of meetings, but it never took anything. That has to be, it has to happen. But if anything, right now, it's good for the players because in their 5th year, they can actually transfer if it's not working out. So that's, but it's the red shirt, which was so tremendous before, isn't what it once was in basketball because of that 5th year transfer rule. People don't want to redshirt them, so they go somewhere else because the grass is greener.
Thanks.
Coach, I think that's
Okay, thanks.